Okay, here it is, but you're gonna have to back up a little bit, okay? A little bit more. Okay, now here we have the 150-inch screen from AWOL Vision. Tell me more about this.
So we originally got the LTV-3500 Pro with the 120-inch floor rising screen, which is really awesome, but we really only had the ground to showcase this, and ideally I would probably get the cabinet that they sell in order to contain all the pieces to put the projector and that screen in there. And that 120-inch screen was an ALR, or Ambient Light Rejection screen, which is the same as this new 150-inch screen. And there is some convenience to being able to move the 120-inch screen in and out of the room for us, but I'm not sure how many home theater enthusiasts would need to move it often, but that's why we showcased it on the ground. And now we do have this 150-inch ambient light rejection screen that is wall mounted, and it's just so much bigger. So if you're serious about having a home theater, how could you not want this size? And funny enough, the 150-inch screen came in a pretty small box. And the good news is AWOL provides pretty good instructions. All the parts are labeled and organized, and you really just have to put the inner frame together first. So you just need some space, which we happen to have on the floor here on this rug, and then you just need to unbox it all and get it ready. There are 2 pieces for the top, 2 for the bottom, and then 1 for each side for that inner frame. And unlike other projection screens that we've assembled, all the connecting rods to hold the screen together are inserted, so it's pretty simple just to line up the inner frame pieces and then tighten those rods. There are also a couple vertical support rods or braces that keep the screen from bending when you install it on the wall. So with the inner frame all tightened into place, we could lift it up and really kind of understood how large this was going to be. The screen is as tall as me at 73 inches and about 130 inches wide. Basically, it's the size of putting 4 75-inch TVs together, which is something that I've wanted to do in this room, but with a 150-inch screen, I really don't have to now. Then we laid the screen down and unrolled it. There is paper covering the good side or the front side, so you really just have to find a flat surface, which we have, and once it's all laid out, you can set the inner frame on it. Then comes the fun part, which is inserting the fiberglass rods into the screen to protect it from rips as you add the 200 springs that attach to the frame and keep the screen nice and tight. It is rather hard to perfectly attach the screen, so make sure that you add all the springs as directed and square it all up. We got to a point where we had it favored to one side a little too much and had to adjust by taking a few of the springs off and sliding it over. Eventually we got it all connected and it was time to add the outer frame, which curls around the front of the screen in order to protect light from spilling, and at the same time it provides a nice and finished look once it's on the wall. Now the height of the screen is one thing to consider. We only have one table to set the projector on, or we could just set it on the floor, but I also had to take down my speakers because they were spaced about 120 inches apart, and that wasn't going to work. So the table was sort of needed in both instances to house the projector and the speakers, and therefore the bottom of the screen needed to be off the ground about 33 inches. This meant the top of the screen was going to be over 106 inches off the ground. So if you have 8-foot ceilings, this would be a problem. Obviously, there's a case to be made that this screen is meant for a larger room and even stadium seating in a theater room, but for us, the placement on the wall feels fine, and we recline and watch movies and games, but I'll get to that in a second. Installation of the brackets was pretty simple. We just measure the height based on how high your projector is and then how high the screen needs to be and do a little bit of math. And then you just have to drill a couple holes for each bracket on the closest stud. And you can just measure the distance between those 2 studs because as long as they're within the width of the screen, you'll be good to go. Now I didn't put the lower brackets up because I felt I'd probably not get them in the exact spot to have them effectively clip against the wall on our first try, and our wall is a little bit warped, so I didn't want to force a bend in the screen. However, if the bottom of your screen is not flush against the wall, those lower brackets will secure it in, so use them if needed. And I'm glad I didn't use the lower brackets because we needed to raise the whole screen up 3 inches after trying to position the LTV-3500 Pro projector. They give you all the measurements and it seems like it should be an exact science, but once you put everything into place, sometimes you just have to make some micro adjustments. And so in our case, that required us to move the screen up 3 inches in order for it to project properly on the wall. And there it is, a 150-inch screen up on the wall. A wall that once housed a mere 83-inch OLED to a 98-inch QLED to even a 120-inch ALR screen. And now we have a 150-inch massive ALR screen so large that we had to take the speakers off the wall and set them on a stand. And it looks amazing, to be honest. The only time that I've ever seen this 150-inch screen is at CES, but it's a different experience having it in your house. But that's also due to having it paired with the AWOL LTV-3500 Pro, which is a 4K 3D triple laser UST projector, which we've already done a video on, and you can check that out separately. But to recap a little, this is the newest and best UST projector from AWOL Vision that can get up to a peak brightness of 3500 ANSI lumen. It comes with 3 HDMI ports, with one of those 3 ports located behind the panel in the back that houses the included Amazon Fire Stick 4K, which is the best operating system for this projector. The LTV-3500 Pro also comes with 3D built in, so if you pick up a pair of their 3D glasses, which are sold separately, you'll get an impressive 3D experience, which I'll talk about more here in a bit. So you really get the entire home theater package with these 2 pieces. But one more impressive feature of the LTV-3500 Pro is that it can project on a massive 150-inch screen without sacrificing picture quality, especially near the edges of the screen. And that's because they use the Ricoh f2.0 glass lens that's 3.5 inches wide, which is a benefit from other projectors that use a smaller 2.3-inch lens that can struggle to clearly produce an image on a larger screen like this. And as I said, it looks fantastic. It's extremely bright, it's very colorful, and I can control the light in this room, so there's a lot of upside when considering this for a home. I was even sitting at the dining room table multiple times with lights on, and I could clearly see the football games with great color and detail from off angle. Now, if there's a massive amount of light in the room, there may be some washout on this or any UST screen, or even a lot of TVs, to be honest, but most of the time, reducing the light is preferred for ambient, so it's really not an issue. I think we've probably all been to a bar where you're trying to watch the game on a giant projection screen and it looks terrible, but that's just not going to be the case when you have this at home and you can control the light in your room and have an ALR screen with a bright projector such as the LTV-3500 Pro. And of course, it looks great for movies as well. I feel like I'm never gonna have to leave this house again and go to the movie theaters. As I said, I took down the speakers, but we definitely still connected the stereo system so it can complement this gigantic screen. It looks and sounds fantastic, and I'm really happy with the size and how good it looks in this room. And the LTV-3500 Pro can do 3D as well. And as you know, 3D can really only reach the edges of the projected screen. And it was cool when 65-inch TVs had 3D, but really the issue was that you couldn't really be immersed in a 65-inch 3D screen. 150 inches is totally different. At 15 feet away, the screen is so big that the 3D feels like an IMAX screen. Objects are really coming out into the room, and it feels like this is the perfect setup for watching 3D. So for all those who are holding hope that 3D can once again be mainstream, this 150-inch screen and the LTV-3500 Pro is the answer. Also, the AWOL LTV-3500 Pro is great for gaming. We play all sorts of games on the PS5 and Xbox Series X, and there is minimal input lag. I believe it's as low as 8 milliseconds on the turbo mode, so it does not have the typical projector lag that I've seen on other projectors. And this is all while playing on the largest screen I've ever had in my house. We've always enjoyed playing video games in this room, but to have a 150-inch screen on the wall makes it that much more fun when you're all around the TV. So I am pretty amazed at the size of the 150-inch screen from AWOL. I didn't know how I'd like this compared to a 98-inch TV, but the fact that the LTV-3500 Pro is so solid and bright, and then seeing how much bigger a 150-inch screen is over all the other ones that I've had in this room, I have a newfound respect for the size, and I imagine anyone with a large wall or home theater room would absolutely enjoy this, and I would recommend giving it a look. So definitely check out those links in the description and check out AWOL and all their new products. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what you think about this screen and projector. I'm definitely interested in hearing your feedback. And if you missed it, check out the video on the LTV-3500 Pro right here, and I'll see you guys on the next one.